Hey guys, so for today's video, I just wanted to show you my current everyday makeup look and the products that I have been using for every single time I do my makeup. This is a look that I want to go for if I just want to feel pretty and put together. This is not a new look on my channel. I've definitely done it before, but I am using some products that have been some favorites of mine recently. So if you want to see how I get this glowy everyday makeup look, go ahead and keep on watching. All right, let's get started with my everyday go-to makeup look as of now. I am going to show you guys every single step today. So I always start with brows, and I always start with some kind of brow gel or brow glue. For a while now, I've been using the NYX brow glue. I think this is my third tube of it, and it's pretty much empty, but I did purchase the new Rare Beauty Clear Brow Gel, which I think is a pretty good one as well. So just because I have more product, I'm going to use this one, and I like to sloppily put it in my brows so it coats every brow hair, and then I brush my brows up to get them in place. And then I like to take a spoolie and just really get those brows stuck down. So I kind of brush them up where I want. And then I like to flip the spoolie over and I just press that down into my skin. You can also use your finger for this too if you like. And I always say this, they're gonna look super crazy at first, but as I do the rest of my makeup, they will calm down. Okay, I'm gonna zoom you in. Oh my gosh, I look so crazy. Wow. Now I'm going to take a brow pencil. I'm currently using the Patrick Ta one. Earlier this year, actually throughout the entire beginning part of this year, I was using the Kosas Brow Pop one that I finally finished for my Project Pan. Now that my brows are brushed up, I'm just going to lightly line underneath them. And it's helpful because I can see like literally everything now. Very lightly fill them in, nothing too crazy. And I do have some old microblading in my brows in case you're wondering. So just like that. It's not too much, but it's just kind of filled in those little sparse areas. And now I like to take a brow pen. This is the NYX one. I think it's the best one in my opinion. Like I've used the Anastasia one, but that was just so expensive. Like just get the NYX one. It's just as good. And I just like to add in a couple brow strokes, mostly in the front of my brows. I think my pen's actually running a little low. Okay, now I like to take my spoolie and kind of unstick my brows from my forehead, but still leave them up and fluffy. That kind of makes sense. Because right now they're like literally on my face. So I just kind of like detach them from my face, but still keep them up and fluffy. Okay, now I'm going to go in with the primer. So kind of depending on how my skin feels that day, depends on what primer I'm going to use. If I'm feeling dry, I'll use the Smashbox Primerizer, but I did just like do my skincare, so my skin feels pretty good. If I want my makeup to last all day, I'll use the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. But if I just want like a basic primer, I've been using the Laneige Glowy Makeup Serum. So I'm going to use this one today because my skin feels pretty good today. I don't think it needs any hydration, and I don't need my makeup to last like all day. I did just purchase the new e.l.f. Putty Primer in the squeezy tube, which I'm so excited about. I bought it from their website and I think it's still currently being shipped out here, but I'm very excited to try that one because I need a good like pore filling primer. And I used to like the Putty Primer, but I just hated like dipping my finger into the jar. So I love the idea of that being in a squeezy tube now. Okay, now for my base, I've really just been using any kind of skin tint or tinted moisturizer. I like more of a lighter coverage these days. And for the past couple months, I was using my Urban Decay Hydromaniac because it's still in my Project Pan. I think I have like maybe 2 more uses out of this. So I am going to use this today, but any skin tint I've been using, I always mix it with the Too Faced Born This Way Healthy Glow. I really like this skin tint mixed with pretty much anything. It's nice and moisturizing and hydrating. It has SPF 30 in it. It's very lightweight and the color is perfect for me. So for example, my Hydromaniac is a little too light for me. This combo is beautiful. I know this looks so funny, me holding up a half empty tube. So I'm gonna make sure there's no bugs in here because that happened last time. And I just like to dip a brush into my tube. I'm taking the end of a brush here. Oh yeah, we were like down at the bottom. And I just get that on the back of my hand. And going in with my Too Faced, just a little bit of that to deepen up the color. I have a lot of foundation right here, and I'm just going to put this on my skin. And my favorite foundation brush is the BK Beauty 101. Ever since I received this from BK Beauty, I have not used any other foundation brush. Like, I haven't even been using a sponge. I used to kind of switch between a foundation brush and like the Real Technique sponge, but ever since I got this brush, it is the only thing I want to use for foundation. It is the perfect shape. It is nice and full. The curve of it just like glides over your face. It's honestly beautiful. I feel like my color's still a little bit too light for my face, but that's okay. We add bronzer and everything on top anyways. I just realized I forgot to put on my little lip balm. So I've been using the Summer Fridays Lip Butter Balm. I feel like this is so viral on TikTok right now because of like TikTok Shop and everything. And so everyone is talking about this right now, but it really is a good solid lip balm. I love the applicator and how like curved it is. It's so comfortable on your lips. I feel like everyone is hyping up this lip balm right now. And like, yes, it's a good lip balm, but like, you don't need to go run out and buy it. It's still gonna be around. Now, since I used more of a tinted moisturizer on my face, I'm gonna use a spot concealer to cover up any spots that are still peeking through. My skin looks pretty decent today, so I'm happy with that. And for that, I've been using the NARS Soft Matte Concealer that I depotted into this little Sigma Duo here. This is currently in my project pan, and I'm getting so close to finishing it, so I'm taking the shade Custard. And just anything that's still peeking through, I just take a little bit of this and put that on top. I do really love this NARS concealer, but I've had it for, I want to say like 2-3 years at this point. And so I think once I finish it, I do want to replace it with something different. If you have a full coverage concealer and like you've used the NARS matte one, let me know which ones you like. I am open to suggestions. And now I like to go in with my under eye corrector, and that is the Sigma Under Eye Correcting Duo, which is the actual product in this case. And I'm just taking a little bit of that on a BK Beauty A506, putting this under my eyes. It's funny because BK Beauty posted an Instagram video of like their top BK Beauty brushes, or like the 4 like most recommended ones, and it was like this one, the 101, I think the 109, and one other brush. But it was funny because they're like, these are the best brushes, and I was like, yep, I use those ones every single day. I really do think these BK Beauty brushes are worth the hype, especially the face brushes. I think the eye brushes, I still prefer Sigma because they have so many different shapes, but for face brushes, BK Beauty is solid. Now, before I blend out my spot concealer, I like to spray my face with just any little spray I have on hand. This is the Peach and Lily Glass Skin Veil Mist. This just kind of rehydrates my skin for blending out the concealer. So again, I'm taking that same A506 brush. Oh, I do have a code with BK Beauty too. It's just Angela Bright. I think it's the same code for Sigma and BK Beauty. And then I'm just gonna go over everything one more time with my foundation brush. I am very happy with how my skin looks right now. I also just wanted to point out how much my brows have calmed down at this point. See? Now at this point, I like to do some kind of cream blush, and honestly, my blushes rotate so much. Like, I don't really tend to use the same blush every single day just because I have so many blushes. I like to just pick whatever I'm in the mood for. But currently in my drawer in front of me that I have for blushes, I have the Patrick Ta Little Blush Duo and the Rose Ink Cream Blush and Heliotrope. I feel like this color are actually pretty dang similar. Let's do the Rose Ink one. And for this brush, I like to use the BK Beauty 109. What's nice about this brush, I'm gonna keep talking about these brushes here, it's actually just a miniature version of the 101. So here's the 101, my big fluffy foundation brush, and the 109 is just a little smaller version that you could use for foundation, but it's also great for any kind of a cream blush, cream bronzer, even under the eyes. Like this brush just fits anywhere on your face. So taking my Rose Ink blush, and I've been doing my blush pretty high up on my face. Honestly, I'm kind of on my cheekbone right now. And I find that this blush layers up really, really nicely. Like, I kind of use a lot of product, honestly. I finally bought this Rose Ink blush during my last like Sephora haul because I was seeing so many people talk about this specific shade, and it really is just like a perfect everyday kind of pinky color. It's a little bit on the warmer side, but I think it's beautiful. I'm gonna go backwards really quick here. I'm gonna take that brush I was using for my concealer and just kind of pat that over my eyelid just because I have nothing on my lids right now. And you'll find out later that I don't really do eyeshadow on a day-to-day basis, so that's why I'm just kind of patting this on my lid to give me a little bit of coverage. All right, now I like to take a cream bronzer. There's a couple that I rotate through. I love the Makeup Revolution one, the Rare Beauty bronzer sticks. But if I want to be like a super contoured and more like a full glam look, I'll use the e.l.f. Halo Glow. I think today I'm feeling the Rare Beauty stick. I'm gonna use the shade Power Boost, and I need to twist this up because I'm getting a little low. And just draw that on my face. I love this one because it just glides on so easily. It's very, very easy to blend out. Taking that same 109 brush and just blending that. See how effortless that is? It literally blends itself out in like 2 seconds. Then I'll just take a little bit on my cheek here. And I'll do a little bit along my nose here. I'm not super precise with any kind of nose contour, more just to get the pigment on my nose. And then I'm just gonna take whatever's on my brush kind of on the outer part of my eyelid, just for a little bit of a contour in here. Now I'm going to do just a tiny bit of under eye concealer. Honestly, my under eyes are looking pretty good, especially with that Sigma color corrector. But my favorite concealer at the moment is the Natasha Denona High Glam. I'm using the shade RN3. I really just need a tiny bit of this just right in here. And again, taking that BK Beauty little concealer brush and just pressing that under my eyes. I just love the coverage of this concealer. It looks beautiful under the eyes. It has more of a natural finish, and it is more of a medium to full coverage. Now before I set that, I like to go back to my blush again and just kind of retouch up where my blush kind of meets my under eye area. Just a quick touch up. My skin just looks so glowy right now. I love it. Now I need to do a little bit of setting. The first thing I like to set is my under eyes. For that, I've been using the e.l.f. Halo Glow powder. I just finished the powder in the light color and now I have it in pink, but honestly, they look pretty dang similar. So I'm using the pink one, but it's really not that pink. And my new favorite brush for under my eyes is again a BK Beauty, and it's the 112. It is this tiny little angled brush. And again, it just fits beautifully under the eyes. I can set my eyelids or just like smaller areas of my face. What is happening with my lighting? I'm so sorry. Okay, the sun's kind of coming in on like one side, so I'm gonna change my lighting here for a second. First, I'm just gonna tap out my creases with my finger, and I'm taking that brush with some powder. And I like to kind of work it into the brush, so I use the lid to really like pat the powder into my brush. And we just set the under eye. And I'm also gonna bring this on my eyelid. Now for the rest of my face, I like to set with the Kosas Cloud Set Powder. I'm using the shade Breezy, and I am dangerously low on this. And I'm using a Sigma F24 for this because I like a big fluffy brush. So I'm just patting that over everything. I've talked about this powder a lot on my channel, but it is great for people with dry skin because it still allows the glow from your products to peek through the powder. It's not a mattifying powder at all. It just really lightly sets your makeup, but still lets the glow shine through. Like, see, you can still see the glow and everything. It's perfect. Sometimes I feel like my T-zone does look a little bit oily, and like this area of my cheek right there, so I will take a more kind of mattifying powder for that. And for that, I like to use the Hourglass Veil Powder. So again, with that same little powder brush, just kind of setting right here on my pores, around my mustache, my chin, and center of my forehead. Just because I don't want those areas to get too glowy. All right, now that my base is set, I'm gonna go in with some more powder products. I'm gonna use some powder blush and some powder bronzer. Again, with blushes, I don't really use the same one every day. I just kind of rotate through them, but I've currently been using this Too Faced Cloud Crush blush in the shade Golden Hour. Just like a really pretty everyday pink blush. And my favorite brush for blush has been the BK Beauty A507. So it's just like your typical angle blush brush. And again, I like to start pretty high on my face, kind of on my cheekbone, and I just pat that on. I've been liking this blush formula a lot because it's nice and buildable. Sometimes blushes that are just like too pigmented at first, they're a little scary to use, but this one's not scary at all. And then whatever's left on my brush, kind of bring along my nose. Now I'm gonna add some powder bronzer. I've still been loving my Hourglass Nude Bronze Light Ambient Lighting Bronzer. This was in my project pan. I hit pan on it and I'm still using it. For my bronzer, I like to use this Sigma F12 brush because it's nice and fluffy. So it just nicely dusts the powder on my face. And again, a little bit around my blush. I wish I could film with the natural lighting, but the sun was coming in and it was just like blinding and everything. Now, I have been really into the Bare Minerals highlighting blushes. I like to think of these products more as like a blush topper. If you're someone who loves a glowy blush, these are amazing. So I'm gonna take a little bit of Pink Glow. And again, I'm kind of going right on top of my cheekbone here, just to add even more pink, even more of a glow. I just think these are so pretty. They're such like a different kind of product. I feel like a lot of brands don't have something like this, so it is pretty unique. I also find that it's a really nice formula that kind of connects your under eye concealer to your blush, if that makes sense. Now I like to take a highlighter, and my favorite highlighter is still the Rare Beauty highlighters. I have Exhilarate and Enlighten. I'm gonna use Exhilarate today. And this is the Sigma Beauty F03 brush. So this is gonna go on the very tippity top of my cheekbone. And I kind of like to bring a little bit under my brow. Whew, she's glowy. Let's talk eyeshadow really quick. So on a daily basis, I actually don't wear eyeshadow. If I do anything on my eyes, it's usually like a bronzer in my crease, and maybe I'll use a couple shades from my palette. I'll usually use like Basic, Champagne Problems, and Bright. And if I wanted to deepen up the look, I would use Schmugula and Cold Brew. But honestly, the only days I really wear like a full eyeshadow look is if I'm filming a video or if I'm like going out later that day. But most days, I just don't wear eyeshadow. But since this is my go-to look, I will show you what I do with my bronzer. I've shown you guys this before. So I like to take a really fluffy brush. Like, this brush is huge. This is the BK Beauty 201. And I'm gonna take my Hourglass bronzer, swirl that in there, and I just kind of throw that in my crease. And I'm not being super precise. I'm honestly just kind of throwing it in here. But I also like to focus right here and kind of do a little bit of a nose contour with my bronzer. And then whatever's left on the brush, I'll just bring under my eyes. So it's just a very subtle difference. Here's with the bronzer, here's without, but it just adds a little bit of definition to my eyes. And then I'll also bring a little bit of this bronzer kind of under my nose, do a soft little nose contour. I also like to bring some under my lip right here. And now I'll just take the shade Champagne Problems from my palette and just pop that all over the lid. I just cannot be bothered to do a full eye look if I'm just like sitting at home not really doing anything. And I'll take my brush and just kind of go over the crease really quick. And that's it. I feel like any day now I'm gonna hit pan on this Champagne Problem shade. Like, it feels like I'm touching the bottom of it with my finger. I actually am gonna take my Rare Beauty Enlighten highlighter. This is the lightest shade. Kind of want a bright highlight today, so I'm gonna pop that in my inner corner. I could use Bright for my palette, but I just want this to like really, really pop. Now I like to finish off the look with some mascara, and my favorite mascara, if I just want to like build up my lashes, is the Tower 28 Make Waves. It is just so good. It is so black and thick, but like in a good way, and it's very, very buildable. Like, once I run out of this one, I will repurchase it. I also feel like it just does a great job at separating my lashes. And this brush is so nice because it really does grab on to every single lash. Like, are you kidding me? This mascara is so good. All right, my mascara is on, and here's what my lashes look like. This lash always looks so much more stubbier than the other one. Now for my lips, I almost always go in with the Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude Lip Liner. This is in my project pan, and I've been trying to use it all year long. Now with my lipsticks, it's kind of similar to my blushes, where I just kind of rotate through whatever I've been using and loving recently. And one of my go-to lipsticks has been the Lawless Forget the Filler lipstick in the shade Wedding Day. I love that it's called a Wedding Day because it is like a perfect like wedding day lipstick. And then I'm just gonna finish off with some Urban Decay All Nighter. Okay, the sun kind of calmed down a little bit, so I could open up my curtains to show you the look in more natural light. All right, and this has been my recent go-to everyday makeup look if I'm wearing makeup. I just want to point out, I don't wear makeup every day. I really probably wear it maybe like twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. But if I just want to feel pretty and put together, this is what I do. I hope that you were able to do your makeup along with me, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.